Hi, I'm Abe Lamro, and this is my product review for the Fantasy Duo League. Now, let's start with the agenda. We'll start by talking about what our goal is with this Duo League and what the change will look like for the engineers to implement. Second, we'll talk about the reasons from the current users that we think this change is meaningful and effective. And we'll finish with talking about the impact from the new future and how we think it will affect the overall business as well as the engineers in making this change to happen. Let's start by talking about the NBA. As you know, the NBA's product is basketball. And before this year, I had no interest in it whatsoever. However, that's all changed since my friends started inviting me to a fantasy NBA league. I went from somebody that didn't even know the teams in the league to now I know different players on different teams, and I follow how many blocks they get, how many steals they attempt, and how many assists they have every single night, all so that I can compete with my friends and keep track. For the NBA, this is awesome because they have somebody that was not interested in the NBA at all now completely entrenched in it. This is really big for my friends and I as we discuss it outside of just group chats. We talk about it in person at church where we play basketball ourselves. I think that something very similar would be possible for Duolingo with the Duo League. We will use already existing assets to create new infrastructure for a fantasy Duo League. The idea here is, though, we are competing in matchups against local friends. I'll be competing with my own father in law to see who has more daily reviews, completes units, correct answers, and multiplying across weekly streak multipliers. Overall, this will be a feature that will help me to compete locally and have accountability built in. Now, from the home screen perspective, what we're proposing to change is we'll take out the trophy icon and send it to the bench to instead replace it with a league feature that will take over from the global rankings. And I'll discuss more as we get into our client interviews of why we think this change would make a lot of sense. Overall, the outcomes that we are driving towards is to fix the current state of having 0 to 3 friends per user to having 1 to 5. This will be our North Star metric and the most important thing with this league. Likewise, we think that we'll be able to increase with 2 million new active users, as well as to increase revenue as spread across each user by $1 to increase our market by that much. Now, let's talk about why the users think this is such a good thing to do. One of the things that was the most clear across our user interviews and research is accountability in doing Duolingo. Parents that I talked to discuss recruiting their own kids so that they could set up these leagues and set up an accountability to have a daily action on Duolingo. They said that one of their most important things to having a streak is having somebody to talk about their streak with. While features such as collaborative goals to reach a certain amount of experience or leagues once you have the paying enterprise ones in schooling exists, we think that a competitive local feature for free users will be a huge boom for Duolingo. Importantly, of the 25 plus people that I've talked to, only one of them even mentioned their global league ranking. So we think that by changing this home icon, we'll be able to lead to something that has a lot more interaction from your average Duolingo user. And we want to talk about the most important person in this equation, and that is superstars who are already marketing the league. This is my father-in-law, Kirk, and he is a self-proclaimed Duolingo evangelist. He has tried to recruit me and all of my wife's siblings to use Duolingo. He is an active user using Duolingo every single day, and he wants to have more accountability partners. In fact, I think that if we started competing in Dual League, he would be willing to foot the bill either for me personally or to get us on a family plan so that we could all participate and discuss it together at family gatherings. I think that as we enable people like Kirk to be an evangelist in an even easier way by giving him this league to market Duolingo itself, he would be happy to jump on it. Now, let's talk some numbers. We think that this will cause $30 to $50 million increase in annual revenue. This comes from a number of 8 million current super users, which is available publicly, and from a conservative guess of 10% of super users would engage with the Dual League and actively try to recruit. And even if one new person from these leagues became a super user at the price of $60 a year, that would lead to 48 million new annual revenue. However, I do want to say that 10% is conservative from my 50% of super users that said they would actively recruit and bring people into a league. And maybe even more importantly, we think that people would fill up the bare minimum of these leagues, this 10%, and would lead to 3 million new friendships, which would open the pathway for having more features come in that utilize these friendships. Overall, I think this is a mission aligned layup change. It would be easy to take the assets that engineering has already created and market this new dual league that keeps track of what people are already doing. As well as with the new almost $50 million in revenue, we think stakeholders will jump at this opportunity. Overall, I think this should be a high prioritized feature for our team as we seek to create this competitive local leagues that increases people's ability to market Duolingo and delight the customers that already like Duolingo the most. Thank you so much, and we hope that you'll consider our feature to be as important as it is.